The story kicks off at a shopping mall where a wealthy girl named Sarah finds herself harassed by her ex-boyfriend. During the argument, a cup of coffee accidentally spills on her outrageously expensive $3 million heels. Just as she stands in shock, a young man unexpectedly steps forward. Without hesitation, he kneels down and wipes the stain from her shoes using his own $3 shirt. So realistic. This unexpected act only enrages her ex even more. Grateful and wet, Sarah offers the young man a date since it's a K-drama. But instead of paying attention to her, my guy is more focused on the unattended shopping bags at the counter. He declines her offer. Offended but not backing down, Sarah impulsively pulls out her elite black gold credit card and purchases every designer bag in sight. The very next day, she shows up at her parents' home with the young man with a serious proposal. Her sudden intensity leaves her parents bewildered. They wonder what's gotten into their daughter's ass. Unknown to many, Sarah is actually the heir to a vast business empire. But after her parents' divorce, her stepbrother emerged as a key rival for the family fortune. Sarah begins to suspect that her stepbrother is involved in a secret affair with a well-known actress. While investigating the situation, a strange man offers to help. When Sarah refuses, he says something she can't ignore, leading to an unexpected task, folding bedsheets with him. Slowly, the emotional gap between them shrinks, and Sarah finds herself distracted from her mission. This man's name is Yun-hao. It turns out the actress had intentionally set a trap to stop Sarah from uncovering the truth. One day, at a cafe filled with some big single women, Sarah notices the barista is none other than Yun-hao. At first, she brushes it off, but when she gets two surprise discounts and notices a small heart drawn on her coffee cup, she can't help but smile. After that, Yun-hao seems to pop up wherever Sarah goes. Even at the mall, he silently appears and hands her a red rose. Sarah begins to question whether this strange encounter is some new kind of flirtation. Not long after, while Sarah is at her office, chaos erupts outside. A delivery guy barges in, ignoring the secretary. Annoyed, Sarah confronts him, but he insists he can only hand the letter to the intended recipient and demands to see her ID. Frustrated, she slams her ID on the desk, only to discover the delivery guy is, once again, the man with no beard Yun-hao. Now her curiosity turns into suspicion. But Yun-hao's intentions are far from what she imagines. He's been working several odd jobs to support himself while secretly chasing his dream of becoming a priest. After a serious disagreement with his mother over this ambition, he left home to pursue it on his own terms. Meanwhile, despite her billionaire status, Sarah is careless with her lifestyle. Her mansion has become a complete disaster. One day, realizing how messy things have gotten, she demands a cleaning service to send 10 housekeepers. Instead, only one man shows up, an impressively built guy who turns out to be, once again, Yun-hao. Not realizing it's Sarah's home, Yun-hao begins cleaning the sussy mess. When he sees the chaotic state of the place, he understands why a strong cleaner was requested. His organizing skills leave Sarah genuinely impressed and wet. But just as he finishes, he notices the chandelier is broken. Trying to be helpful for some extra tips, he attempts a repair, but instead accidentally causes the entire chandelier to crash to the floor. When Sarah comes home, she discovers that her $69 million chandelier is now shattered. Yun-hao, horrified, offers to repay the damage by giving her a sussy honor. Sarah refuses and tells him to just pay the amount instead. But Yun-hao insists he'll clean every day until the debt is repaid. Though hesitant about hiring a low-testosterone male housekeeper, Sarah relaxes when Yun-hao casually mentions he's on the path to becoming a priest and isn't interested in women with small yet. She figures, with her busy schedule, it wouldn't hurt to have a reliable helper around. Soon after, they head to the supermarket to buy supplies. But to everyone else, they don't look like boss and employee, they look like a couple. Along the way, Yun-hao runs into several old co-workers. Sarah realizes just how many jobs he's taken on. Everywhere they go, someone recognizes him. Though usually composed, Sarah's curiosity about Yunhao was growing. That day, she had another high-level business meeting, where the older shareholders once again make fun of her. They clung to outdated beliefs, claiming women belonged only in kitchens, not leadership. Sarah tried to stay calm, but when they even denied her the chance to serve refreshments simply because of her gender, it stung deeply in her arse. She walked out, feeling both insulted, heartbroken, and wet. What those men seemed to forget was that Sarah had a stepbrother, Shuzu. Though they often clashed, Shuzu didn't tolerate anyone disrespecting his sister. The very next day, he directly confronted the shareholders, warning them that if they wanted to remain in the company, they needed to treat Sarah with respect. That night, he showed up at another shareholders' gathering and made his point even clearer. If anyone dares treat my sister like a servant again, you'll regret it. Then he left, as confidently as ever. Later that evening, Sarah returned home, utterly exhausted, so much so that she didn't even have the strength to remove her makeup. But her charming and capable housekeeper, Yunhao, immediately jumped in to assist in removing the makeup. Just then the doorbell rang. It was Shuzu. Alarmed, Sarah quickly told Yunhao to hide. "If he finds out I hired a male housekeeper, he'll never believe it," she whispered. Yunhao slipped into the bedroom with the cat, but a sudden bark gave him away. Shuzu caught on but just smiled and played along. Without pushing further, he left. Afterward, Yunhao emerged, apologized, and handed Sarah a beautifully wrapped box of sweets. His presence had started bringing warmth to her once empty home. He not only kept her house in perfect order, but became her quiet companion. Someone she could talk to about her business stress without judgment. But then doubts crept into Sarah's mind. Was Yunhao really just being kind? Did he have an agenda of getting milk from her? When she asked him directly, Yunhao answered with a straight face, "No, I don't like the woman with 17 pounds of makeup. I just want your money." Sarah was stunned, until he clarified. He volunteered at a church and hoped she'd help support the poor. She couldn't help but laugh. "Fine," she said, "but I want one of your smiles in return. I like it when you smile." With a shy grin, Yunhao complied. That smile melted her heart, and since it's a K-drama, the next day, a $1 million donation was made to the church. Yunhao's mentor was astonished and told him, "Your smile has the power of Thor. Use it wisely." From that point on, each time Yunhao offered Sarah one of his gentle smiles, new donations followed, starting with food supplies and eventually expanding to tech like laptops and smartphones. Yay, how convincing the storyline is. But the biggest transformation happened in Sarah. The once cold and sharp businesswoman began to soften. Her queen-like aura remained, but a quiet sweetness emerged within her. Then, one day, Yunhao's doggy ran away. Sarah and Yunhao chased after it, but when they reached the door, there stood the actress Sarah had once investigated, believing she had ties to Shuzu. The mood turned tense. Seeing Yunhao at Sarah's house, the actress misunderstood everything. Sarah was about to explain, but Yunhao quickly pulled her inside. There, he dropped another bombshell. The chandelier he broke wasn't actually expensive. He returned the full amount, along with some thoughtful gifts, and formally said goodbye. Sarah was overwhelmed and corny, but had no reason to stop him. Then, something unusual happened. She, who never expressed her emotions freely, asked a question she'd never dared ask a man before, especially one 18 years younger. That morning, her father had sent her a candela plant, symbolizing happiness will come, C-U-M come. It stirred a strange warmth in her heart. The following day, she thought her family was preparing a birthday gathering for her, but when she arrived, the celebration was for Zhuzu and his girlfriend. Disappointed, she quietly stood aside until Zhuzu handed her a small gift. He hadn't forgotten after all. As she left, the actress stopped her and said something that cut deep, like she'd been waiting for a reason to attack Sarah emotionally. Heartbroken, Sarah called Yunhao, who said he was working. Not ready to give up, she made another call. Yunhao didn't think much of it until a girl approached him and said, "Your friend wants to see you." Confused, he insisted he was on duty, but she calmly replied, "The store is closing. Your friend just bought it." That night, over dinner, Yunhao assumed Sarah was upset again about the shareholders, but she revealed it was about her family. She'd thought the party was for her, but it wasn't. Yunhao hesitated. "But your ID says your birthday is later," Sarah replied softly. "That's not my real birthday." Touched, Yunhao called for the bill and insisted on paying. Later, when Sarah left her office, Yunhao was waiting outside with a small birthday cake. Sarah was caught off guard. "I received a flower that said, 'Happiness will come,'" she whispered. Yunhao froze. His expression changed. Sarah took a deep breath, as if her heart had finally spoken, and walked away. Yunhao stood there with the sussy cake, feeling like she had gently rejected him. Back at her office, Sarah didn't cry or sulk. Instead, she simply pressed her hands together and whispered a prayer, silently wishing Yunhao would return to her. Still puzzled, Yunhao walked by a flower shop and asked, "Which flower means happiness will come?" The shopkeeper showed him the candela, golden marigold, and explained it also meant compassionate love and sorrow of parting. At that very moment, Sarah was staring at the same flower, reading the same meaning. Not long after, Yunhao returned to see Sarah, holding that same golden marigold in his hand and some domkon. But when he offered it to her, Sarah's hope crumbled. She realized his kindness was causing her more pain than comfort. Without saying much, she turned and walked away. But then Yunhao called out. Sarah turned to look at him, her eyes filled with unspoken words. Yunhao was still unsure. Maybe his feelings were changing, but this change was difficult to face. He decided that no matter how hard it was, he'd find the answer on his own. One day, an unexpected visitor arrived at Sarah's office, a man named Choi Ko. He had come to deliver a personal message before returning to South Korea. Upon hearing this, Sarah's expression hardened. She knew that despite being born from her father's first marriage, her position in the inheritance race was precarious. Her brother, Shuzu, the biological grandson of Chairman Lin, had the upper hand. To stand a chance in this competition, Sarah needed external backing, something her family had previously arranged through a strategic marriage to Choi Ko. Though Sarah viewed the arrangement as nothing more than a business contract, things had grown complicated ever since Yunho had entered her life. Torn between the pressure to marry and her growing feelings for Yunho, Sarah glanced at the candela flower on her desk, a symbol of hope, and made up her mind. She called Yunho immediately. At that moment, Yunho was at church, confiding in a priest about his emotional turmoil. The priest gently suggested that sometimes clarity comes when one embraces their chosen path. Taking the advice to heart, Yunho put on the priest's robe and walked toward the church entrance, just as Sarah arrived. When she saw Yunho in the robe, something inside her wavered. Her eyes welled up, and as he walked down the steps, Yunho realized she needed reassurance. But Sarah turned away. He followed her home, hoping to explain. But Sarah misunderstood, thinking he had come to justify choosing a path without her. Yunho quietly said, "I know about your engagement with that ugly Choi Ko." Her face changed. Although engaged, Sarah had never truly shared her emotions with Choi. Moments later, Choi Ko himself entered. Calm and composed, he eyed both of them with the air of someone who always expected to be in control. Sensing the tension, Sarah asked Yunho to leave. Choi Ko's attitude made it clear. This was all transactional for him. He even admitted that Shuzu had a weakness Sarah could exploit, facial blindness caused by a past accident. Sarah visited Shuzu to confirm the details. Looking at the medical records, she realized the truth. But instead of using it to gain the upper hand, she chose to take a stand, not just in business, but in her personal life too. Choi Ko wasn't happy. In frustration, he threw money on the street. Disgusted, Sarah made another bold move. She invited Yunho on a casual outing. While window shopping, Yunho spotted a new bag and got distracted. Sarah, feeling a little ignored, pulled out her black card and bought all the designer bags. Eventually, they settled at a small roadside stall. The contrast between wealth and simplicity matched Sarah's shifting emotions, somewhere between who she had been and who she was becoming. Still unsure of Yunho's status, Sarah assumed he had committed fully to becoming a priest and tried to downplay her feelings. When Yunho sensed her unease, he asked about it. She softly said, "I'm not a good person. Maybe I'm just pretending to be nice. Maybe we're better off as friends." Yunho offered a quiet smile. She stared at him for a moment, uncertain of what to believe. The next day, during a family gathering, Sarah stood before everyone and made her decision public. She wouldn't marry that chubby-faced Choi Ko, as there was no love between them. Her father supported her openly, and even her brother recognized that her decision wasn't just about love. It was her way of reclaiming her power. The engagement was officially off. Later, Choi Ko confronted Sarah at her office, furious. "I helped you because I thought you were weak," he spat. But Sarah remained calm. His threats meant nothing anymore. Choi Ko left, realizing he no longer had any hold over her oranges. That evening, Sarah turned to Yunho, who had stayed true to his principles. For the first time, her smile carried peace. She knew she had chosen wisely. Yunho, after a long time, returned home to see his family. His parents, who had once disapproved of his priesthood dreams, now they are agreeing. The air was awkward, but his sister immediately sensed something. She teased him, asking if he was seeing someone. As if on cue, a luxury car pulled up outside. When she saw a stunning woman step out, she blinked in surprise. "Who is this?" she wondered. Then, amused, she whispered, "Yunho actually found himself such a gorgeous girlfriend." Meanwhile, Sarah, stepping out of the car, felt a bit anxious. She worried that Yunho's family, especially his brother, might judge or distance themselves from him because of her. But Yunho, unaware of her inner tension, enjoyed the moment. The ride together felt natural, comforting. That evening, they made their relationship official and went out for dinner to celebrate. During their meal, they began discussing the future. Yunho shared that, since he had decided against becoming a priest, he was now considering a different career path. When he mentioned wanting to become a judge, Sarah was taken aback. She knew how difficult the judiciary exams were in South Korea, but Yunho reassured her with a soft smile, telling her he had graduated from the law department of Seoul University, so it was a realistic goal for him. Hearing this, Sarah finally understood why his family had opposed his plans to join the clergy. It wasn't out of cruelty, it was fear of seeing their son give up such a prestigious career path. After dinner, Sarah offered to drop Yunho home. As they drove, they chatted about the idea of meeting each other's parents. Yunho confessed he felt nervous. He worried that the wealth and influence of Sarah's family might make things awkward or overwhelming. As he stepped out of the car, Sarah teased, "Hey, you didn't pay your cab fare." Yunho was momentarily puzzled, then smiled. He jokingly promised to return the favor by rubbing her off next time. The following day, Sarah arrived at Yunho's school to pick him up. While waiting, she noticed one of his classmates eyeing them with visible jealousy. Sarah had intended to ignore the classmate, but she caught the look Yunho gave him. It was unmistakable. He didn't like the attention. For the first time, Sarah realized that Yunho was starting to get possessive. She understood then. Their relationship had quietly changed. What began as unexpected companionship had grown into something deeper, but with deeper emotions came the possibility of future misunderstandings. Wanting to build trust before problems could arise, Sarah made a bold and italic decision. She decided to take a day off work. Not to rest, but to visit Yunho's home and have a real conversation with his parents. She knew it was time to bring their relationship into the open, and to show Yunho that this wasn't just about them anymore, but about building a future together with both their families involved. Sarah, nervous but determined, had come to speak directly with Yunho's parents. From that point on, things began to settle. The tension between their two worlds slowly eased. Sarah and Yunho found moments of calm in their own shared space, where they no longer had to prove anything to anyone. But the journey continued. So, comment if you'd like to see the next part, and don't forget to subscribe. Bye!